Good day, students. Today, we'll be looking at vertebrae and joints in animals. Believing we have all our materials ready for the class. Vertebrae and joints in animals. Our learning objectives for today is the following. By the end of the class, you are expected to be able to list the bones of the vertebral column, identify the position of each vertebra in the body, and distinguish between each bone of the column. Vertebral column and characteristics. Our last class, where we saw the skeletal system or the supporting tissue in animals, we talked about the vertebral column briefly. Now, we want to see the vertebral column and their properties. The vertebral column or backbone or vertebrae are 5 different bones. When we say vertebrae, we are talking about the plural. When we have 2 cervical, we call it cervical vertebrae. So the vertebral column or the backbone have 5 different types. We have the cervical vertebrae, the thoracic vertebrae, the lumbar vertebrae, the sacral, and the caudal. One more time. The cervical vertebrae, the thoracic vertebrae, the lumbar vertebrae, the cervical, sacral vertebrae, and the caudal vertebrae. Cervical vertebrae. Where are they found? How many are they? That is what we are going to look at. The cervical vertebrae are found around or in the neck region. Around or in the neck region. In man, they are 7 in numbers. That means the number of cervical in man may be different from the number of cervical in other animals. The cervical is made up of 2 smaller bones. The cervical is made up of 2 smaller bones. We have the one called first cervical or the atlas. First cervical or the atlas. We have the second cervical or the axis. Second cervical or the axis. Now, these 2 bones that constitute the cervical vertebrae, they have different functions. If one of them is missing, then the neck will not function normally. The neck will not function normally. So we are going to see the 2 components of the cervical vertebrae. Now the first one here is a complete cervical vertebrae. Complete cervical vertebrae here means that both axis and the atlas are fixed on this. Both axis and atlas are fixed in one. Now, we can see the diagram. We are expected to learn to draw properly. We expect to learn how to draw properly. We are expected to draw to dimension. Our labelings are meant to be horizontal using our ruler. Exactly to the right and to the left. That's what we mean horizontal. Using ruler pointing directly at what you are labeling. That is the cervical vertebrae shown there. It has the canal, vertebral canal. It has the anterior and posterior transverse process that connects other bones. It has articular facet or process. It has vertebra. I've said that. Now, we will notice that this cervical vertebrae does not have pronounced neural spine. It does not have pronounced neural spine. This body is what we call the centrum. We call it the centrum. This is the neural arc, that is the neural canal. First cervical vertebra, atlas. Features. The atlas has large neural canal, that is the passage. It has a broad and flat transverse process. It has a reduced neural spine, that is, the one pointing up like that is called the neural spine. It is reduced or completely absent. It has vertebrae canal for the passage of blood vessels. It has vertebrae canal for the passage of blood vessels. The atlas vertebrae permits nodding of the head. That's why you nod your head like this. Everybody nod your head. Yes, you are nod your head. You are not nodding. Doesn't mean atlas is not present in your head. So, thank you. Atlas permits nodding of the head. The diagram of the atlas vertebra is what is shown there. This anterior tubercle is what is referred to as neural spine. Neural spine. You can see the diagram there. We have the transverse process like we have said. It has the oral groove. It has posterior part. You can see all those ones. So, we are also expected to learn this diagrammatically. We are expected to learn it diagrammatically, be able to draw well to required size. Axis, the second vertebra. The axis permits turning or rotation of the head. When you turn your head left and right, left, right, left, right, what is being functional there is the axis vertebra. It has a vertebrae canal also. It has odontoid process that projects inward and outward into the atlas. It connects into the atlas inward and outward. It has a large and flat neural spine. It has a broad and flat centrum, that is a thick part of it that connects the other bone. The axis, called the second cervical vertebra, it has axis. The axis permits turning of the head, that is turning left and right. It has vertebrae canal, we have said it. It has odontoid process that joins it to the atlas. It has flat and large neural spine, and it has a broad and flat centrum. That is the diagram of the axis vertebrae there. We can see it. This is the transverse process. This is the neural spine. This is the articular facet. The thoracic. Next to the cervical is the thoracic. Next to the cervical is the thoracic. Where can we get the thoracic? Where can we get the thoracic? How many are there in man? And what are the functions? What are the features of the thoracic vertebrae? The thoracic vertebrae are present around the chest region. They are present around the chest region. It has a pronounced neural spine. We say pronounced, which is long, pointed and projects backward. The transverse process are well developed to articulate with other bones. It also has facets that articulates with the ribs. The neural canal and neural arc are large. That means it has large neural canal and neural arc. It also has centrons, and the thoracic are about 12 in man. The thoracic vertebrae are present in the chest or around the chest region. It has a pronounced neural spine or long neural spine that projects backward and forward. It has a transverse process that are well developed. It has facets that articulate with the ribs. It connects the ribs to the sternum and to the thoracic at the back. The neural canal and neural arc are large. Mind you, they are what? They are large. They are not small, they are not. It has a large centrum, and the thoracic are about 12 in man. They are about 12 in man, while the cervical are 7. These are some of the differences you should note when we ask you to differentiate between thoracic and cervical. And that major difference is the prominent neural spine that the thoracic has. Let's continue. That is the diagram of our thoracic vertebrae. You can see different views, the lateral view and the superior view, that is the front view. This front view and the side or lateral view. Now the first one here is showing us the superior view. We can see the prominent neural spine here. This is the prominent neural spine. We can see the transverse process here. This is the centrum. This is the neural canal. So also we can see it in the lateral view. This is your neural spine. This is your centrum here. This is the transverse process there. So we can see. So we have to learn to draw the two views properly. You have to learn to draw the two views properly. Sacral. The sacral vertebrae are found at the lower abdominal region. They are found at the lower abdominal region. In man, they are 5 and they are fused together. In man, they are 5 and they are fused together. It has a large centrum and a narrow neural canal. A large centrum and a narrow neural canal. Its neural canal is reduced. Neural canal is reduced, that is, it is short. The sacrum, like we said, is found in the lower abdominal region, joins the pelvic girdle to provide support and strength. It joins the pelvic to provide good support and strength. That is the diagram of the sacrum or sacral there. You can see it, fused sacrum, the transverse process, the sacral foramina, and so on. This is the reduced spine we're talking about. So you can see this picture now. You'll be able to identify where you have that in your body. Lower abdominal region. Lower abdominal region. This part is the tail region. Coccyx. The coccyx. It is the tail region. It is present in man but not all that useful. Present and not all that useful. What do we call it? What is the biological name do we call it? You. Class. It's okay. Take it as assignment. Let me have the name tomorrow. Now, having discussed the features of the vertebrae, they have some similarities as well as differences. They have some similarities as well as differences. So we'll be looking at the similarities among the cervical, the lumbar, and thoracic first. That is, what the three bones, what they have in common. What the three bones, what they have in common. The features they have in common are, they are all bones of the vertebral column. They have neural spine. If you look at all the bones mentioned, they have neural spine. In one, it may be short. In one, it may be long. In one, it may be reduced. All we know is that the three bones have what we call neural spine, irrespective of the size. They also have neural canal. That is for the passage of materials. For passage of materials. They have centrum. That is a thick structure there. And they have spine. They also have transverse process and articular facets to join with other bones. They are all bones of the vertebral column. They all have neural spine. They all have neural canal. They all have centrums. And they all have transverse process and articular facets. The differences between the thoracic and the cervical vertebrae. That is the major thing. We will be asking you to give the differences between these bones. You'll be given the bones to observe and bring out the differences, the cervical and the thoracic. Among the differences is that the cervical has a large neural canal, while the thoracic canal is short neural canal. The cervical has flat transverse process, while the thoracic has long transverse process. Under the cervical, facets are absent. Under the thoracic, facets are present. Under the cervical, there is nothing like centrum, center. Centrum means center. There is nothing like centrum or center. The thoracic has centrum or a center. The cervical has what we call vertebrae canal. It has what we call vertebrae canal. The thoracic vertebrae canal is absent. Let's take it once again. The cervical has large neural canal. The thoracic has short neural canal. The cervical has flat transverse process. The thoracic has long transverse process. The cervical centrum is absent. Thoracic centrum is present. Facet is absent under cervical. Facet is present under thoracic. Vertebrae canal present under cervical. Vertebrae canal absent under thoracic. Now the next part is the rib cage. The rib cage. We are going to look at the diagram of the rib and see the structures there. The rib cage in man, we have 12 pairs and the sternum. 12 pairs means 24. The first rib is the most curved, shortest and broadest. The first rib is the most curved, shortest and broadest. I don't know how many of us are able to identify this when we did the practical, when I brought out the skeletal system of a man there. The length of the rib increases from number 1 to 7 and decreases until number 12. That means the rib 1, the size increases in length, followed by number 2, number 3 to 7. And from 8, it decreases up to 12. The last two ribs are not attached to the sternum. The last two ribs are not attached to the sternum and are free. We are going to look at it. I know we did not notice it that time we did the practical. The rib cage protects the vital organ. What are the vital organs present today? We have the lungs and the heart. The lungs for pumping of blood, the heart for pumping of blood, and the lung for breathing. So it is the rib cage that protects this delicate part of the body. Now that is the rib cage there for us. We said the number increases, the length increases from 1 to 7. And the number 1 rib to number 7 ribs are called true ribs. They are called what? True ribs. And we equally said that from number 8, the length of the ribs decreases from 8 to 12. We can see it there. You can see from number 1 to 7, the length of the rib is longer than that of 8 to 12. Now by the collarbone, we have the clavicle. That is the collarbone. We can see we have the clavicle. And this is the thoracic joined to the sternum. This is the sternum, the body. Thank you. Now we did say that the skeletal system is divided into two, axial and appendicular. The appendicular skeleton is made up of the limbs, the forelimb and the hind limb. Limb, the forelimb and the hind limb. The limbs of vertebrates are called pentadactyl. They are called pentadactyl. They are made up of the following long bones. Next is a 9 set of bones arranged in 3 rows with 5 digits on it. That is on your wrist. And they are called what? They are called the phalanges. You can see the diagram there. This is the femur bone. This is the radius and the ulna. That is the forearm we are discussing. This is the tarsal, the ankle. These are the carpal. These are the phalanges. That is the fingers. In the leg, we call it the phalanges, the toes. We call it metatarsal too, where we call it metacarpal and the forelimb. That is the illustration of the forelimb. The upper one, the upper arm, we call it the humerus, while the lower arm is made up of radius and the ulna. This is the radius, this is the ulna. Then we have the phalanges and the metacarpal. The hind limb, that is the bone of the leg, is called femur, and it is made up of 2 other bones called the tibia and fibula. Also, joining the tibia and fibula are the ankle bone, the phalanges. Theirs is the toes and the feet. That is the diagram of the hind limb. We can see the femur there attached to the pelvic, the tibia, the fibula, the metatarsal, and the digits, what we call the phalanges. The limb girdle are divided into 2 parts. You have the pelvic and the pectoral. You have the pelvic and the pectoral. The pelvic has 2 halves, and each half is made up of 3 bones that are joined together. Ilium, ischium, and the pubis. Ilium, ischium, and the pubis. That is the diagram of the pelvic. You can see it, that it is present in the lower abdomen, and the joints there are not movable. That is the second part. That is the second part where we have unmovable joints. The pectoral girdle is also made up of 2 halves. Each half consists of the following: the scapula, or what we call the shoulder blade, the clavicle, or the collarbone. We saw it when we saw it, the rib, the scapula, the collar blade, and the clavicle, or collarbone. Now that is the scapula. This is the scapula. That is the scapula there. You can say that is where it makes the joint with the humerus, called the glenoid cavity, to form the ball and socket joint. Any question before we talk about assignment? Remember, I asked you to find the name for that part of the pelvis. I said it is present in man and it is not all that useful. What is it called? Our assignment for today is we are to list the features of a typical vertebra. And against next class, we are to study joints and muscles. Against next class, we are to study joints and muscles. You know we normally have references. Our reference for today is MV Robot Fundamental Biology and our normal College Biology by Idudoume. Read joints there. Everything about joints. Thank you.